Hello, welcome to a special journey today. We're going to break up this journey into two parts, and I call it Journey on Forgiveness Road. And this first part of the journey is going to be a journey looking at situations of offense. We all get offended, we all get someone says something the wrong way, or someone says something about something we do, or how we look, or someone says something about someone else that we really are, connected to, and we're offended because they said something against someone else. There's all kinds of situations of offense, and the enemy is right in the center root of it, laughing because he just loves to divide people and cause offense and get people into bitterness and unforgiveness and resentment and grudges and all those things that just start to imprison us. We start to get in this prison and entanglement of all this unforgiveness. And it starts to not just affect our health, which that is the main thing, but it starts to affect our attitude and the atmosphere around us, and people seem like they don't even want to be around us when we're just so begrudging all the time and bitter all the time and negative all the time. And it also impacts our relationships, and it impacts the situation and those connected to the situation, and it can even impact generations. So you want to take hold of this first part of the journey and examine. When you're finished hearing this first part, just examine all the situations that you may have: unforgiveness, bitterness, anger, maybe even feeling rage, holding a grudge, harboring all kinds of negativity about a situation that happened, or words that were said, or things that were done. So, I want to help you get free of it. I just know that forgiveness is something we tend to not go towards forgiveness. We tend to go towards unforgiveness because that's easier. Forgiveness is harder, but we need to do the hard thing. It's hard to get the key of forgiveness and unlock our prison of unforgiveness, but that's what we are going to do in these two journeys. So today, this part one journey is going to help you look at and examine your own situations of is there any unforgiveness in me? Am I still being resentful towards something? Am I still being bitter and angry about something? Is something just still like digging in me, and something still keeping me entangled and imprisoned in resentments and negativity and frustrations that just kind of permeate out into the atmosphere and affect everyone and affect the generations that are around me. So, we're going to look at two examples in the Bible that are family situations, because that's where unforgiveness happens the easiest, and that's where unforgiveness is really just it affects so many people and situations, because families are very connected in covenant. Even so, unforgiveness that's in a covenant has multiple dimensions of impact in terms of a negative impact. And that's what we want to just cut that whole unforgiveness episode right at the root, and just uproot it out of the family, uproot it out of our hearts, uproot it out of ourselves. Okay? So we're going to look at the situations of Jacob and Esau and their offense. And then we're going to look at the situation of Joseph and his 11 brothers and the offense between them. And that is going to be the first part of our journey to help you examine your own situations of offense, whether you're offended with someone in the community, whether you're offended with someone on the job, or someone in the church, or someone in your family, or just all anywhere that you, even iconic figures. If you're resentful and bitter towards someone who's a public figure, those kinds of bitternesses and angers can also affect your health and affect how you walk through your journey. So we want to get free of this prison that we're in of resentment, bitterness, anger, frustration, grudges, all these things that are really affecting our health, limiting us in terms of having an abundant life. It's the truth, it's a prison. So, first example we're going to look at is Jacob and Esau, the two sons of Isaac and Rebekah. And Esau is the firstborn son, followed by Jacob. And they were actually twins in the womb, twins. So they shared a womb together. If you can think of that, their life began together in the womb. So let's look and see what comes into their relationship that is a horrible offense. We're going to begin in verse 30 of Genesis 27, where it's written, "Now it happened, as soon as Isaac had finished blessing Jacob, and Jacob had scarcely gone out from the presence of Isaac his father, that Esau his brother came in from his hunting. He also had made savory food, and brought it to his father, and said to his father, 'Let my father arise and eat of his son's game, that your soul may bless me.' And his father Isaac said to him, 'Who are you?' So he said, 'I am your son, your firstborn, Esau.' Then Isaac trembled exceedingly and said, 'Who? Where is the one who hunted game and brought it to me? I ate all of it before you came, and I have blessed him, and indeed he shall be blessed.' When Esau heard the words of his father, he cried with an exceedingly great and bitter cry, and said to his father, 'Bless me, me also, O my father.' And he said, 'Your brother came with deceit, and has taken away your blessing.' And Esau said, 'Is he not rightly named Jacob? For he has supplanted me these 2 times. He took away my birthright, and now look, he has taken away my blessing.' And he said, 'Have you not reserved a blessing for me?' Then Isaac answered and said to Esau, 'Indeed I have made him your master, and all his brethren I have given to him as servants. With grain and wine I have sustained him. What shall I do for you now, my son?' And Esau said to his father, 'Have you only one blessing, my father? Bless me, me also, oh my father.' And Esau lifted up his voice and wept. Then Isaac his father answered him and said to him, 'Behold, your dwelling shall be of the fatness of the earth, and of the dew of heaven from above. By your sword you shall live, and you shall serve your brother.' And it shall come to pass when you become restless that you shall break his yoke from your neck. So Esau hated Jacob because of the blessing with which his father blessed him. And Esau said in his heart, "The days of mourning for my father are at hand. Then I will kill my brother Jacob." And the words of Esau, her older son, were told to Rebekah. So she sent and called Jacob, her younger son, and said to him, "Surely your brother Esau comforts himself concerning you by intending to kill you. Now therefore, my son, obey my voice. Arise, flee to my brother Laban in Haran, and stay with him a few days, until your brother's fury turns away, until your brother's anger turns away from you, and he forgets what you have done to him. Then I will send and bring you from there. Why should I be bereaved also of you both in one day?" There is the account of the offense between Jacob and Esau. And that's what I read to you in Genesis 27. And it's the verses 30 through 45. And I will include these map points that I'm reading to you. I'll include them in the comments below. Okay, so that you may refer to them and read through them yourselves and gain your own Prophet's Reward insights. Now, the next offense that I want to look at is between Joseph and his 11 brothers. So we're going to turn 10 chapters later to Joseph and the 11 brothers. And they're all sons of who? Jacob, who just committed the offense against Esau. So these are Jacob's sons now. And I'm going to start reading to you from Genesis 37, 10 chapters later. And I'm starting at verse 3. And I'm going to read through verse 36. And it says, Now let me pause and remind you that Israel is really Jacob, okay? And we're going to find out in the next part how Jacob became Israel. So, starting again. Now Israel loved Jacob. I'm sorry. Now Israel loved Joseph more than all his children because he was the son of his old age. Also, he made him a tunic of many colors. But when his brothers saw that their father loved him more than all his brothers, they hated him and could not speak peaceably to him. Now Joseph had a dream, and he told it to his brothers, and they hated him even more. So he said to them, "Please hear this dream which I have dreamed. There we were, binding sheaves in the field. Then behold, my sheaf arose and also stood upright. And indeed, your sheaves stood all around and bowed down to my sheaf." And his brothers said to him, "Shall you indeed reign over us? Or shall you indeed have dominion over us?" So they hated him even more for his dreams and for his words. Then he dreamed still another dream, and he told it to his brothers and said, "Look, I have dreamed another dream, and this time the sun, the moon, and the 11 stars bow down to me. So he told it to his father and his brothers. And his father rebuked him and said to him, "What is this dream that you have dreamed? Shall your mother and I and your brothers indeed come to bow down to the earth before you?" And his brothers envied him. But his father kept the matter in mind. Then his brothers went to feed their father's flock in Shechem. And Israel said to Joseph, "Are not your brothers feeding the flock in Shechem? Come, I will send you to them." So he said to him, "Here I am." Then he said to him, "Please go and see if it is well with your brothers and well with the flocks, and bring back word to me." So he sent him out of the valley of Hebron, and he went to Shechem. Now a certain man found him, and there he was wandering in the field. And the man asked him, saying, "What are you seeking?" So he said, "I am seeking my brothers. Please tell me where they are feeding their flocks." And the man said, "They have departed from here, for I heard them say, 'Let us go to Dothan.'" So Joseph went after his brothers and found them in Dothan. Now, when they saw him afar off, even before he came near them, they conspired against him to kill him. Then they said to one another, "Look, this dreamer is coming. Come, therefore, let us now kill him and cast him into some pit. And we shall say, 'Some wild beast has devoured him.' We shall see what becomes of his dreams." But Reuben heard it, and he delivered him out of their hands and said, "Let us not kill him." And Reuben said to them, "Shed no blood, but cast him into this pit which is in the wilderness, and do not lay a hand on him, that he might deliver him out of their hands and bring him back to his father." So it came to pass, when Joseph had come to his brothers, that they stripped Joseph of his tunic, the tunic of many colors that was on him. Then they took him and cast him into a pit. And the pit was empty, and there was no water in it. And they sat down to eat a meal. Then they lifted their eyes and looked, and there was a company of Ishmaelites coming from Gilead with their camels, bearing spices, balm, and myrrh, on their way to carry them down to Egypt. So Judah said to his brothers, "What profit is there if we kill our brother and conceal his blood? Come, and let us sell him to the Ishmaelites, and let not our hand be upon him, for he is our brother and our flesh." And his brothers listened. Then Midianite traders passed by. So the brothers pulled Joseph up and lifted him out of the pit and sold him to the Ishmaelites for 20 shekels of silver, and they took Joseph to Egypt. Then Reuben returned to the pit, and indeed Joseph was not in the pit, and he tore his clothes. And he returned to his brothers and said, "The lad is no more, and where shall I go?" So they took Joseph's tunic, killed a kid of the goats, and dipped the tunic in the blood. Then they sent the tunic of many colors, and they brought it to their fathers and said, "We have found this. Do you know whether it is your son's tunic or not?" And he recognized it and said, It is my son's tunic. A wild beast has devoured him. Without doubt, Joseph is torn to pieces. Then Jacob tore his clothes, put sackcloth on his waist, and mourned his son many days. And all his sons and all his daughters arose to comfort him. But he refused to be comforted. And he said, "For I shall go down into the grave to my son in mourning." Thus his father wept for him. Now the Midianites had sold him in Egypt to Potiphar, an officer of Pharaoh and captain of the guard. And that is the complete reading now, or the account of the offense of Joseph's brothers against Joseph. They hated him, they envied him, the father favored him, and there was all this strife and emotional bitterness and resentment going on. And so they just robbed Joseph of his childhood and sent him off to Egypt out of their lives, but out of their father's life as well. So we have two offenses. Let's go back to the first one, Jacob and Esau. Jacob lies and deceives who? His father. And he portrays himself, imposters his brother. To what? To steal a blessing, the blessing of the firstborn, which Jacob was not. Esau came out of the womb first. Even though they shared a womb, Esau came out first, followed by Jacob. Jacob stole the blessing that was supposed to go to the firstborn. So that was a great offense to Esau. Okay, let's look at the second situation of offense, Joseph and his brothers. Joseph was a bit puffed up because, oh, daddy loves me. He gave me this beautiful tunic, and I have good grace with daddy. And the other brothers are like, oh, get this, kid out of our face, for crying out loud. He just wants to be, daddy's pet all the time. And where do we fit in with dad? So they just envied him. They wanted him out of the picture. Like, we don't have a chance with dad. You just always, kissing up to him. So then they hear these dreams, and that just made it worse. So what do? They really they wanted to kill him. They wanted to rob him of his very life. But God's hand was in the matter, and he was protected, but he was robbed of the rest of his childhood with them and his father, because he was sold into a land far off at a young age, like as a teenager, and he was sold as a slave. So he was now the property of Potiphar. And you can you imagine the anger Esau felt of being robbed of his blessing, his inheritance from his father? And can you imagine the anger that Joseph felt of being robbed of his relationship and his lifetime experience with his family and his father? Think about that. And now I want you to think about your own anger and what was robbed of you. How did the devil get you into unforgiveness? How did the devil, because you must realize it is the devil, it's not really the person, it was the devil who influenced that person to say or do or create a situation that caused offense in you? How did the devil offend you? You want to make a list, because if you start thinking of all the different things, you'll find that there's more offenses than just one. And, our lives revolve around all kinds of things: family, workplace. If we go to church or have a fellowship or something, we have, church place. We have community, we have neighbors, we have businesses in our communities, we have doctors in our communities, we have all these services that we utilize, restaurants and things. We could have been offended in any kind of situation, circumstances, by any kind of people, iconic figures. Now we have all kinds of government things that, we have inflation, we have all kinds of things. People are offended, and they are expressing their anger and resentment and offense about all kinds of government issues, all kinds of court issues, all kinds of you know regulations with health, and how to deal with mandates, and on the offensive situations and circumstances and iconic figures and just people that we are connected to. There, you should probably have, I don't know how many lists of offenses, but you can probably come up with, I bet you could come up with 25 offenses that you are feeling or thinking or harboring in you. And you want to make a list at the end of this video, and you want to take it to the Lord, and you want to ask for grace to begin to unlock yourself from the prison of unforgiveness and resentment, and ask for grace to come in to help you to forgive. You want to start to forgive. You want to start to push back from the dark kingdom, that unforgiveness, because that's what it is. It's holding you in the darkness of unforgiveness, and you want to push it back now, and you want the light of forgiveness to enter in. So, this concludes our journey on the road to forgiveness, but this is just the first part. So, be sure to look at the map points below in the comments, and then make your list, and then go on to view part 2 of the journey on the road to forgiveness. Thank you for joining me. I hope this helps you so much, because forgiveness is like taking a wonderful shower, a refreshment in our lives. And we need to do it every day. We need to travel the road to forgiveness every day. Forgiveness road. Look for it. Journey on it. Take that shower, that divine shower, where you just get cleansed of all unforgiveness. Until part 2, you stay on the righteous path.